I'm sure you will agree that free speech and journalists' rights absolutely must be protected. So with that in mind, I'm very pleased to talk to you about a press release from the Ministry of Justice, which is titled "Crackdown on Corrupt Elites Abusing the UK Legal System to Silence Critics." This is known as SLAP, or the Strategic Lawsuits Against Public Participation. And so, in other words, what this means is if someone wants to silence somebody for criticizing them, they bring a very expensive lawsuit which they can't afford to fight, and then, of course, stop criticizing them. So with this in mind, and to prevent this from happening and to protect free speech and journalists' rights, the courts are going to be given new powers to protect that free speech and those journalists' rights in what is going to be a three-part test, which will help to determine and to spot and identify these types of lawsuits which are designed to stifle free speech and journalism, and in doing so be able to strike out any meritless claims very much more quickly. So what does that mean? Well, if a case has no merit and is struck out, it means the court has looked at the facts of the case and the claim, decided there is no merit in the claim, and strike it out, meaning it no longer exists. So that claim cannot succeed, it cannot move forward, it is struck out. There are some measures to set aside an order striking out a claim, but if it is done on this basis with the intention of stopping it from stifling free speech and journalism, then it's likely in this scenario that it's going to remain struck out. Now, if it wasn't obvious already, this initiative is designed to prevent wealthy individuals and large businesses, including Russian oligarchs, from silencing people that criticize them with the threat of endless legal action and associated costs. Now, this is a tactic that's been used for a very long time, but it's now being used increasingly to silence and intimidate journalists, authors, campaigners into abandoning any of their criticism, their books, their articles, and so on. For example, if someone is making criticisms online and there's a lawsuit brought against them with the intention of silencing them and preventing them from criticizing them, these new measures would allow the courts to throw out such claims if they are meritless because they are designed to stifle journalism and free speech. So as I said, there's going to be a three-part test to this. First, the court is going to assess whether or not it's an activity which is in the public interest. This is not just meaning what the public are interested in. A public interest is in something that the public should have an interest in knowing or hearing about. So something that is in the public interest, such as investigating financial misconduct by a company or an individual, would probably be in the public interest. So the court will examine whether there is a public interest here, and then the court is going to move on to look to whether there's an abusive process, such as whether the claimant in the case is sending a barrage of aggressive letters on something which is otherwise relatively trivial. And finally, as with any case, the court is going to look to whether there's any realistic prospect of success of the underlying claim, which it would do in any case that it's being asked to strike out. So this three-part test is not too dissimilar to the standard process for getting a claim struck out, but it does have this additional flavour as to whether the activity complained of is an activity which is in the public interest. In other words, something that the public should have an interest in. The General Secretary of the National Union of Journalists has said that the NUJ has long been campaigning at a national and international level against the use of defamation legislation to crush journalists and journalism. Secondly, that the publication of these proposals is a significant step in tackling the deployment of SLAPs, which is these strategic lawsuits, and other forms of lawfare, very interesting term, designed to stymie journalistic investigations and abuse of the law by the sly and mighty who deeply resent the legitimate work of the media in calling them to account, is a scourge which must be eradicated. Finally, saying a free media is vital to the functioning of a democracy. That freedom is severely curtailed when those with deep pockets are allowed to use the law to threaten the very future of media organizations. But don't take this video in the wrong way to mean that you can just openly criticize anybody and everybody in any way that you like. That's not quite what it means. But if there is a genuine public interest interest in something that you're saying and there's some kind of genuine criticism with genuine questions raised, this is designed to prevent such organizations or indeed wealthy individuals from slapping you with a lawsuit designed to silence you. So with that in mind, I hope you found this brief update interesting. Please do like the video and subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.